As a kid, I loved Star Wars. I had the toys, VHS tapes, video games, an inflatable Jar Jar Binks chair I sat in while I played said video games.
Jar Jar Binks, that guy's gonna be the I tell you.
Being a fan of Star Wars in the late 90s was something special, primarily because of the insane marketing campaign leading up to the release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
You gotta realize that you're not Queen Amidala. I am.
This particular one, though, was something special. Probably because you could not go anywhere without seeing the characters plastered onto almost everything, from magazine covers to Pepsi cans. Oh boy, the Pepsi cans. I had a bunch of them lined up on my windowsill while I went through a sugar rush. This kind of marketing campaign didn't just start with the anticipation for a new movie. Oh no, this one went back even further. So, starting in 1978, a little toy company called Kenner released a toy line of Star Wars figures that sold like hotcakes, to the point where Kenner had trouble meeting demand. They released a new toy line for each of the original 3 movies, but finally ceased production in 1985, when demand had slowed. With the original trilogy wrapping up, the hype had died down and the world had mostly moved on from Star Wars altogether. People just didn't care as much for Star Wars anymore now that the movies had ended. But then, something happened. Sometime in the early 90s, public interest in Star Wars started to rekindle, before exploding once again into the mainstream. But why this sudden renewed interest? Well, quite a few reasons actually, but it all starts with a man named Timothy Zahn. In 1991, Zahn published his now beloved novel, Star Wars: Heir to the Empire, which launched something known as the Expanded Universe, but is now referred to as Legends because of, well, reasons. The Expanded Universe was pretty much any piece of Star Wars media that took place outside of the scope of the movies. This particular story took place after the events of Return of the Jedi and pushed the boundaries of what Star Wars could be. So this caused an explosion in other media from comics to video games. This sudden resurgence caught the attention of none other than the creator himself. George Lucas had considered making a series of prequels to his magnum opus trilogy for quite some time, but never actually acted on it. But the sudden boom of public interest in his property, as well as advancements in CGI technology, George got to work fairly quickly, and in November 1994, George began writing his Star Wars prequel trilogy. With all these pieces moving back into place, there was still one major one that needed to come back into play. In 1995, Kenner launched a new line of Star Wars toys that reimagined our favorite characters as deadlifters addicted to steroids. Why they made them all muscular? I don't know, but I wanted them. Now around this time is when little me started getting interested in Star Wars. My baby days of Thomas the Tank Engine were over, and in came lightsabers and starships. My mom rented the movies and I watched them out of order. She also rented the Super Star Wars games for the SNES from our local video store quite a few times before finally just buying them. And my god, these games were like the Dark Souls of my childhood. I don't think I ever actually beat any of them, but I played them a lot. Oh, but who's your daddy? They weren't that hard. You just need to get good. I was 5 years old. Cut me some slack, the games were hard. But then something happened a couple of years later. Lucasfilm released the Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition on VHS. Released in 1997, the Special Edition included all 3 movies, but scenes had been altered, much to fans' dismay. And this is where I have to confess and come clean. Come here. This is the version I grew up with. I grew up with Greedo shooting first. This was the perfect time to get into Star Wars because something big was on the horizon. Behind the scenes, Lucasfilm was dropping millions of dollars on advertising, making licensing deals with companies like Hasbro, Lego, and PepsiCo. We'll get back to that here in a minute because on November 17th, 1998, it finally happened. Meet Joe Black was in theaters. Now what does Brad Pitt's latest movie have to do with Star Wars? Well, the first teaser trailer was released accompanying Meet Joe Black at certain cinemas. This all of course was pre-YouTube, and there weren't really any video hosting sites yet, and the internet also was not the greatest, especially for watching videos. But the trailer did leak online and was downloaded over 35 million times. Regardless, people went to the theater, purchased a ticket for Meet Joe Black, watched the quick Star Wars teaser, then got up and left before the actual movie even started. I never saw the teaser back then, but I do remember seeing this poster almost everywhere I went, and it was awesome. Now, as I've said, the months leading up to the movie were quite magical. In hindsight, of course, it obviously was very corporate, but little me didn't know that. Nor did I care. I just wanted the toys. The toys hit the shelves and people just went crazy. You had scalpers just buying up as many of the action figures as they could, thinking they were going to shoot up in value like the original toy run in '78. They never did. They still aren't worth a great amount at all even today. Luckily, scalpers are mostly a thing of the past, right?
Hey, don't do that, bro. Okay.
Oh, sorry, go.
I remember my parents taking me to my local Walmart, and I got a little Qui-Gon Jinn action figure for being a good little boy. They came with these little electronic chips, and you had to buy this separate reader thing. You scanned it, and it would say lines from the movie.
I think it
May
just.
the force be with you.
Oh, looky there.
Kind of stupid that you had to buy this whole separate thing, otherwise the chip that came with each figure was just useless. Why would anyone buy that? Like the previous run though, this was the first set of Star Wars toy products not to be produced by Kenner. Mainly because they had merged with Hasbro, but Hasbro didn't necessarily have all of the exclusive rights to produce Star Wars products. Companies left and right pretty much slapped Star Wars on even regular items. Food, books, calendars, trading cards, toothpaste, and even a makeup line. Seriously, who just sees like any household product in the store and just thinks, ooh, I have to have the Star Wars version of that? It's so stupid. Then there was Lego. Now at this time, Lego was in a bit of a rut. So what better idea than to partner up with one of the biggest media franchises the world had ever seen? Lego released 30 sets as part of their licensing deal with Lucasfilm, making it their first brand collaboration. While this didn't save Lego from the financial hole they were in, it did breathe life into the company, and Star Wars sets are still their best sellers even to this day. There were also a couple of tie-in video games, most notably Super Bombad Racing. I haven't played that one yet.
Shoot a green ice cube at him, Jar Jar, like in Star Wars.
Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. The first game I ever owned for the N64. I spent hours playing this game. It was so much fun to find secret shortcuts on all the different tracks and upgrade your pod racer. I never really played Jedi Power Battles or Battle for Naboo, but speaking of Battle for Naboo, let's get back to PepsiCo, specifically Taco Bell. So in 1999, Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut all took part in a huge promotion in anticipation for The Phantom Menace, called Defeat the Dark Side. They created this whole premise where all three restaurants joined together to help defend the planet of Naboo. I'm not joking. Each restaurant was tied to a planet from the movie, like Taco Bell was Tatooine, KFC was Naboo, and Pizza Hut was Coruscant.
That isn't the way of the hut.
They each offered different toys sticking to the theme of each restaurant's given planet. I had all of the Taco Bell ones, and Taco Bell specifically had these posters that all went together to create one large image. They also had these planet toys to represent each of the three, but it was just the same planet model with a different color. Pretty lazy design if you ask me. But the thing most people probably remember about this whole promotion was the Defeat the Dark Side and Win game.
Play Defeat the Dark Side. Collect cool Star Wars game medallions and you could win cash prizes, even $1 million. Only at KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell.
There was this little game sheet you had where if you collected all of these tokens, you could win a cash prize of $1 million. There were also apparently other prizes like an iMac computer and an N64, but most notoriously, the speeder.
A game medallion and you could win one of millions of prizes instantly, even a Star Wars speeder. Only at Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut.
I really hope some divorced dad won that thing and picked up their kid from school with it. I wonder if that thing was ever actually claimed. This whole fast food promotion was so much fun for me as a kid, but it wasn't until I started doing research for this video that I found out the whole fast food promotion for the upcoming movie was apparently a massive flop. It did very little in terms of sales numbers. The suits blamed it on the already oversaturated market for Star Wars around the time, In other words, they were late to the party. It was the largest promotional campaign any fast food restaurants had ever done, and none of them have ever done any promotion like it since. May 19th, 1999, Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace finally released in theaters, making it the first Star Wars movie in 16 years. Tickets sold like crazy, and the movie ended up grossing a little over $1 billion. The movie began and ended. Now, with the public waiting 16 years for this movie, and a lot of pressure on Lucasfilm, what did moviegoers think when they left that theater? Well, they loved it.
I thought it was better than Return of the Jedi, personally, so did a good job.
I like the special effects. I thought Lucas did a really good job.
I think that little Anakin Skywalker, and everyone's going to say it, stole that movie.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
God, I'd put my feet up if I could.
It's fantastic. Good special effects, good story. Lives up to the originals.
At least at first. Over time, the positive reactions started to fade, and people came to the realization that the movie just wasn't very good.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
This coined a term that is still in use today: phantom menacing. Fan phenomenon where people convince themselves a disappointing movie is good due to pre-release hype, only to later accept that it was not actually that good. That's exactly what myself and many other fans felt as time went on. I loved this movie for many years because, I mean, sure, it was fun to watch as a kid, but as I grew into a bitter adult, the acting, dated CG, and the dialogue really started to show for me. I spent childhood years just enjoying the fun lightsaber duels and a really drawn-out pod racing scene, ignorant of the fact that a bunch of man-children had bullied the lead actor into... Oh. Thank God Twitter did not exist yet. But if you ask Star Wars fans what they think of these movies today, they'll mostly express a lot of glee. People love these movies now, and oftentimes try to rewrite history and act like they never thought that they were bad. But why this newfound appreciation? Where did it come from? Well, something happened in the early 2010s.
Lucasfilm, the global entertainment company founded by George Lucas and the home of the legendary Star Wars franchise.
Star Wars nowadays under the Disney banner seems to be a shell of what it used to be. A new Star Wars movie being released in theaters always used to be an event. The year's wait, while not always worth it, still had such an exciting build-up even as an adult. Now with highly disappointing movies and mediocre series after mediocre series being released on Disney+, the whole franchise feels oversaturated, and Star Wars fatigue has more than set in. I used to feel excited when a new Star Wars project was on the horizon. Now I watch the trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu and I just feel nothing. While not everything released by Disney has been bad, one really damn good, most have just been disappointing and lack direction. Naturally, fans have looked at the prequels in comparison and gained more respect towards the story Lucas was trying to tell. Star Wars anymore just lacks soul or compelling characters or even interesting stories. But above all, it's missing one major thing: a highly expensive multi-restaurant fast food promotion where you can possibly win a speeder.